What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Another Friday, another episode of Why Are We Bullish? We've got a Swan takeover today in honor of Pacific Bitcoin. Very excited to get down to LA and just hang out with a ton of Bitcoiners. It's going to be a fucking awesome time. I'm really excited for it. But nonetheless, this is going to be a good rip. We've got a good chunk of the team in the wings, ready to make you all bullish. There's already been a comment in the live comments. Is this the Why Are We Bearish Halloween special? Fuck out of here with that. It is always bullish in here. There's always stuff to be bullish about. I know you were joking. That's okay. But it's going to be a good time. As always, this is live. Anything can happen. So I defer to my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
If you have not already, please do like, subscribe, share. All those things help get this content in front of more eyeballs. Keep those chat messages coming. And I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Huddle the Bitcoin.
All right, before we dive into our panel, let's take a look. And there's Pacific Bitcoin, by the way. Let's take a look at where we are in the markets right now. We're sitting at $20,602 per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 4,854 sats. What a deal, you guys. 91.39% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, a little bump. Next block, 21 sats per byte. But if you're willing to stretch a little bit, low single digits should do you just fine. Shout out to sponsors of the show, CoinKite.com. These guys just have the best damn hardware in the game. I love my Coldcard. I love the Open Dimes, Sats cards, tab signers, all of them beautiful. And just this past this week at some point, I finally put together a tutorial video on the block clock micro and mini. So if you've been trying to figure out how to set yours up, Max and Stacy, then this one is for you. And you can get all kinds of good Bitcoin info streamed to you directly on your bookshelf. But anyways, if you want to check out CoinKite.com, use code BTC Sessions for 5% off everything in the store. If you're stacking sats in Canada and you unfortunately don't have access to Swan, well, then you can hit up Shakepay. They're easy e-transfers in and out, thin spread, no deposit or withdrawal fees, including when you withdraw Bitcoin, which they do encourage you to do. And if you sign up with the link down below and purchase your first $100 worth of Bitcoin, they'll give you $10 for free. Same deal when you share your link and others do the same. You can shake your phone every single day for free sats. They've got a sats back Visa card, all kinds of ways to be earning extra sats. Check them out. Link is down below if you're interested in that $10. LEDN.io. You can use your Bitcoin for a ton of different services. In particular, these guys have been useful for me over the years. Whenever I'm in a cash flow crunch, I need to get my hands on dollars, but I don't want to sell my Bitcoin because I never really want to sell my Bitcoin. And so I can deposit here, get a loan of dollars to my bank account, pay back those dollars, get back the same amount of sats. They do have savings accounts for Bitcoin and USDC. And the beautiful part about them is they have quarterly third-party audits in which you can cryptographically verify that your holdings were part of the audits, which is sorely needed. We need more accountability in that space. So kudos to them for that. They have their B2X offering, Bitcoin-backed mortgages across Canada and select US states. And you can sign up with start.ledn.io/BTC Sessions if you use that link and fund your account. They'll give you $10 for free. Bitrefill.com helps me a ton living on Bitcoin. You can pick up any gift card your little heart desires with sats, both on-chain and via the Lightning Network. You can do things like top up your phone. You can get inbound Lightning channels. And if you're in the US, you can pay your bills and get on that Bitcoin standard. So check them out. There's a link down below for Bitrefill. And finally, if you're backing up any important Bitcoin wallet, get it in solid steel, friends. I cringe at the thought of having little pieces of paper sitting around the office with important seed phrases, because if there's a fire or a flood, that shit is gone. So this is how I'm backing up my important Bitcoin wallets, the BillFodl. Again, privacypros.io/BTC sessions will get you a little deal at checkout. But why are we here, friends? There's something coming up. It's very exciting. It's coming up in 12 days, 17 hours, 46 minutes, and 55 some odd seconds. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be down in LA, Pacific Bitcoin, November 10th and 11th. I will be down there. I'm going to be hitting up the Swan Dome quite a little bit, helping out there, doing lots of stuff. There's going to be incredible speakers down there. So yeah, check it out. I believe code sessions gets you a deal. What that deal is, you shall find out. I'm so good at this. Anyways, let's bring in our panel because that's, oh, and actually one thing I'm going to say, the day after Pacific Bitcoin, I'm running a Coldcard workshop in right near the venue. It's a few minutes away by car, and it's a deep dive on how to use a Coldcard. It is 4 hours long. You will walk out of that place a friggin' expert on your Coldcard. And you know what I'm going to say right now is within the next 24 hours from right now, what time is it? It's like 6:15 Eastern time. All right. In the next 24 hours, anybody who purchases a ticket to the workshop, which can be found at btcsessions.ca/events. Anybody that gets a ticket, bring a friend for free. Just for 24 hours. Just 24 hours from this moment on, 6:15 p.m. Eastern time until tomorrow at the same time. Any tickets that I come through, you'll get a little email. Yo, bring a friend. And I will mark that down. Anyways, enough of my rambling. Let's get our panel in here. We've got Alex. We've got John. We've got Kristin. We've got Brady. Welcome. Welcome, Swan team. I'm super stoked to have you all on. Let's do a little round of intros for anybody that may not know you. Let's start with Alex. Can you give yourself a little introduction?
Sure. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name's Alex Stanczyk. I work with Swan Bitcoin in the Swan private division. So we help high net worth, ultra high net worth. If somebody wants like a super high touch white glove experience with people in the industry to kind of guide you through anything you need to know in regards to Bitcoin, we're here for you. So feel welcome to contact me for that. I'm also the host of Cafe Bitcoin on Twitter Spaces every morning.
Awesome. Well, dude, I'm super glad to have you here. It's odd for me to see your face in person instead of just hear your voice over Twitter. So glad to have you. Let's rotate over. John, can you give yourself a little introduction?
Of course. Hey, guys. What's going on? I'm Jon Chernot. I work for Swan in special operations. I'm heavily involved in our in-person events, the things that are really introducing people to Bitcoin and introducing people to Swan in person. So really heavily involved in our VIP experience for the upcoming Pacific Bitcoin conference, and really excited for that. We've got a lot in store and very passionate about connecting people in person to further develop the social layer side of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think we all get in our own little, internet bubbles a little bit too much. And the value of actually being face-to-face with Bitcoiners is far understated. I think it's so important. A little tangent here just before we get to Brady, but I was in Costa Rica and I tweeted out, hey, any Bitcoiners down here? I ended up meeting up with a couple different people, but the one dude that I met up with, he was an expat, a Canadian expat, funny enough, and but he had never met a single other Bitcoiner in person. And he had gone through like kind of his growth of like learning why Bitcoin, all of that stuff, on top of basically moving his entire family out of Canada, given all the, craziness that was happening earlier in the year. So he had just to have a lot of baggage. I shit you not, meeting another Bitcoiner for the first time was such kind of like a weight off his shoulders. He cried.
Oh,
Yeah. And like I teared up because I was like, I knew that feeling of like that moment of like, oh, I'm not crazy. There's other real people that I can relate to. And it's a great experience. So if you haven't been to in-person meetups, whatever, get out there. Well worth it. But sorry for the tangent. I'll do another rotation here. But yeah, awesome, John. I'm so glad
Absolutely.
that's your focus.
Yeah, we call those lone coiners, people who
Yes.
have only connected to Bitcoiners on Twitter and Reddit and whatever, but they've never actually gone to a meetup and met someone else in person. They're all alone. They're lone coiners.
Yeah. Well, we'll bring them into the fray. Brady, welcome, dude.
What's up, man?
You're trolling us with your crickets in the back.
I got some crickets. They're out early tonight. I got some crickets over here.
It's like harsh
why are we
commentary.
bullish? Yeah, they're excited. They're bullish over there. They're
Oh,
cricketish.
all right.
This is the lone Bitcoiner problem is exactly why we've put together this conference, right? We're going to talk a lot more about it today, but just that sparked a thought that I can share real quick is just having a lone Bitcoiner out there. Me and Corey and Jan we're never together in person for 2.5 years since we launched the product, Swan product. Until about 6 weeks ago, we were in LA together and we met for the first time. So it's amazing that you can get all the way up to speed on Bitcoin online without ever meeting a Bitcoiner person. And you can now also build a company without knowing, like ever meeting or hanging out with your co-founders in real life. So it's a weird world that we're living in, but here it is. And I love that we are bringing together all the swans for the first time at Pacific Bitcoin, the lone swans out there that have never met another swan, but also a lot of lone Bitcoiners, I think. Anyway, I'm Brady, co-founder and shameless marketer at Swan. And that's what I do. I'm excited to hang out tonight.
Dude, well, I'm glad to have you, and I'm excited to see you in person yet again. So, yeah, I've met you more times than you've met your co-founder.
Yes, we've hung out. Yes, we probably spent more time together than Corey and I have for sure.
Yeah. Let's do our final guest here, Kristin. Thank you so much for being here. We've been kind of like chatting off and on for a year and a half, couple of years here.
Couple of years now, yeah.
So I'm glad to have you. Give yourself a little intro.
Excited to be here. I am Swan's marketing director and the event manager for Pacific Bitcoin. So just completely upturned my life like most Bitcoiners and am as all in as humanly possible. My husband also works for Swan in the engineering side of the business. So the Thompsons of Portland are all in and feeling bullish.
Damn. I love it. Bitcoin families is what we're talking about.
That's
now.
right. That's right. We have a little Bitcoin kid here. He stacks some sats every week with his allowance. So
hey, I love to hear it. That's fantastic. Well, everybody, welcome, and also welcome people that are in the chat and watching, or maybe listening, streaming sats later on. If you're unfamiliar, this is Why Are We Bullish? Very simple concept, and we go by the 3 R's for this show. Somebody's going to drop a reason why they're bullish. That's number 1. Number 2, we're all going to riff together on that reason, discuss, ask questions, whatever it may be. Number 3, we're going to rotate. So until everybody has had a turn to let it known why they're bullish. And so we're going to go through that reason, riff, rotate. I'm going to get us started off just with, because we've got a big panel today, I'm going to, it's an interesting thing, but I don't want to dwell on it for too long because it's a relatively new, interesting thing that's happening, but I just thought it was cool. And so this is my reason for being bullish this week. I've got some visual accompaniment here. But this is a tweet from Dan Gold. I think I'm saying that last name right, but he said that he created 2 Lightning channels, or he established 2 Lightning channels in one Sparrow wallet pay join transaction. Sparrow is now a Lightning wallet. So I was a little confused by what was happening here. So let me basically elaborate on what happened. He took Sparrow wallet, which is a regular Bitcoin wallet. It's not a Lightning wallet. It's nothing like that. It does regular Bitcoin transactions. There's some interesting kind of privacy technology baked into it. But basically what he was able to do in a single transaction, he was able to create 2 separate Lightning channels, send the remaining change back to himself, and pay his fee. He sent it as technically a regular Bitcoin transaction, what's known as, I guess, a partially signed Bitcoin transaction. He sent it to the recipients at a regular Bitcoin address. They were then able to look at that transaction and say, hey, let's sub in this other address, which will become a 2 of 2 multisig, which is how Lightning functions. It's a multisig between two people. They swap in the address, make the proposition, and then it goes back to the original sender to confirm, and it's all established. So in the long form of this, what the implications are is a lot of, we'll say, streamlining and efficiency gains on layer 1 when it comes to establishing Lightning channels. So you can, right now, typically when you set up a Lightning channel, you're doing a single transaction to set up a single channel. That's the experience most people have. This is a demonstration of being able to collaboratively create Lightning channels from a regular Bitcoin wallet, multiple channels at a time. This demo was just 2, but it could be many, many more. On top of that, as I was asking questions of him, down the line, this opens up the possibility that the receiver on the receiver end of a proposed Lightning channel could also contribute funds to the initial transaction, which would be known as also pay join. And this would kind of obfuscate who owns what, who's doing what, who funded the channel for how much, whose change is whose. Basically, it borks all of the on-chain analytics, as would a coin join transaction. So not only are we seeing increased efficiency on-chain, but we're also seeing increased privacy on-chain through these developments. And I think it's super interesting. It's still very early. It's very, I imagine it's relatively complex for a regular person to do this right now, but it's a hint of things to come. I'm very excited for it. And I love the idea that the base layer of Bitcoin is just going to be this powerhouse of efficiency and privacy in the future, which builds a powerhouse of speedy, cheap, and again, private transactions on top of it. So that's why I'm bullish this week. I know it's a little complex, but I just want to open it up to the panel and say, have you used Sparrow Wallet? Do you have experience with Lightning? You could, anything you want to tap on, feel free. So whoever wants to jump in.
I have a quick take. So this is interesting because it illustrates why Bitcoin skeptics are wrong. They're skeptical either about the fact that it'll work at all or that it just moves too slowly. A lot of them are, in the crypto crowd. A lot of them aren't, and it seems like that might be correct. When you kind of look at it maybe closely for a year or two or whatever, and look at the development rate of the Bitcoin base chain and Lightning. Of course, Lightning development is much faster, but you could see how someone, maybe a reporter, could look at that and draw these conclusions. But it's incredible the work that's happening and the long-term vision of this group of devs. And Bitcoin devs are some of the best in the world, but they're also very patient, very long-term thinking. This is, as is often compared to, this is like operating system code for a nuclear power plant kind of thing. Like, this is the way it's treated. And to see elegant solutions like this, pop up on Twitter with the first screenshot, hey, I made this thing work. And this is what it could mean for the future of privacy, of efficiency. And they have all these downstream effects. And it's just incredible. I have developed a lot of trust. I think a lot of Bitcoiners have developed a ton of trust in these amazing people that are building this world-changing technology. But it takes time. And I love it when things like this happen and come out on Twitter, because it just makes me feel better about the future security of Bitcoin and makes me proud to know that I'm working with people who aren't here for the hype. They're here to make something long and lasting for generations. And anyway, it's just cool to see these kinds of things come up.
Yeah, totally agree. Anybody else want to chime in on thoughts, questions?
I just think it's
just
great.
crickets.
just crickets.
Literal
crickets. Let's do John and then Alex.
Oh, for my take.
Yeah, if you have any comments, questions about the topic.
Yeah. So, well, to me, what's so great about Bitcoin is the way that it's able to empower individuals. So that's why when you see people working on incorporating these values of privacy and personal power empowerment into protocol in ways in which we're able to, it's just so, that's why we're all here, right? It's just these kinds of things are just going to continue. And when I was first learning about Bitcoin, one of the things I was impressed by is just how many intelligent and gifted individuals are contributing to this thing. Like all the smartest people in the world who actually care about human freedom and the betterment of Western civilization, like that, this is where they're at. So I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, you were going to jump in as well.
Sure. So I agree with what Brady was saying. I think there's a lot of people who look at Bitcoin on a surface level and they look at the main chain and they think, oh, this thing's too small, or it's not modifiable, or it doesn't do all these amazing things like smart contracts and all that other kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, there's this analogy where it's like, you know, if we're all on an airplane, you don't want to change the airplane engines out while you're flying, right? I relate to that a lot. It's like, leave the main chain alone. It's super high security. It's super reliable. It doesn't have to be, it's kind of like the base layer protocol. And we keep talking about this kind of stuff lately where it's like, with Lightning, that's like a layer 2. And we don't even know all the things that are going to be built on top of this stack in terms of protocols. There's no way to know. Like if you think of the internet back in 95 versus where it is now. How did you know that any of this stuff was going to exist? We're talking to each other over a browser based thing that's many layers built on top of TCP/IP. Who knew in 1995 this was even going to be possible? So I'm super bullish on that. There's so many new VCs that are like, yeah, you know what? All this other kind of stuff that's now captured, all the world computers and all this other kind of crap that's now basically owned by the state, essentially, if they want to. Like, I don't see how that's going to actually matter moving forward with the Bitcoin base layer and everything that we're going to build on top of it. I'm super excited. All the VCs that are coming in the space are all very Lightning focused. And you see the development in that area just exploding. So I'm super bullish on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Kristin, do you have any general, I'm unsure, like, have you dealt with Lightning a lot thus far in your journey, or are you a main chain kind of girl?
I'm a main chain kind of girl, you know, I'm just saying. But no, what I was really resonating with what Alex was saying, you know, as I mentioned earlier, my husband's an engineer, so he's the brains that can actually understand deeper into Bitcoin and more of the technology. But whenever he does relate it to the journey of the internet and the different layers, that's what makes sense to me, what has always made sense to me with Lightning. And when you do look back to the beginning of the internet, like Alex said, we could not have possibly have seen all of the developments, how far it would come, how fast, how we can shoot videos with our phones, instantly zip it over to my computer right now. Like, you just couldn't possibly conceive it. And that's where we're at in this journey. So I think, you know, we've seen the challenges when people want to change what Bitcoin is versus understanding that it's the additional layers that will continue to expand it and allow it to grow. And we'll get to why I'm bullish, but I'm going to loop this back in later. I'm seeing a thread here.
I fully agree with the sentiment, and thank God that Bitcoin has been developed and its trajectory is looking the way it's looking, in that it's been uncompromising on its base layer, to build that solid foundation on which we can then build our skyscrapers, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I think that's the exciting part here. So we'll wrap this one. I just thought this was such a cool thing to see, and maybe not everybody on Twitter would have fully got what was going on there, but I think the implications are vast. It's just a slow burn. That's all. So we're gonna give it a rotation, and I'm gonna toss it to the cricket man himself, Brady. I would love to know why are you bullish? Why are the crickets bullish? Let me know.
All right. I'm going to give Ben here a worldwide exclusive on Why Are We Bullish. And I'm also going to create a little side chain of Why Are We Bullish, and we're gonna reason, riff, and rotate on this as well. I guess we're already going to anyway. Oh, never mind. Main chain. Stay on the main chain. All right. So I'm gonna present here for a second, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, I'll pull it when I see it.
Okay. Let's see.
Is it a browser?
Here we go. I think this is it. Okay. Do you see anything?
No, not yet. So hit present, hit share screen, and then it'll let you choose something.
Yep. Yeah, I just did that.
And then you got to hit share.
Okay. Yeah, something's goofing up, unfortunately. So I may not be able to give. Actually,
shoot me the link in the private chat, and I'll bring it up.
I'll shoot you the file. Yeah, and if somebody else wants to go in the meantime, because this might take 90 seconds, and I want to do 90 seconds of dead air, then we can come back to mine.
All good. Well, who shall I pick on? Maybe Alex. Now, Alex, maybe let's do a whirlwind of why
We'll go
you're
alphabetical.
Yeah.
All right. So I like to pay attention to adoption markers. I think the price is not very revealing of adoption. So some adoptions markers I look at is like strength of the network, hash power, how much money is moving on the network, a number of wallets, the amount of Bitcoin that's allocated to channels and committed, number of nodes, all those kind of things. So some of the adoption markers that have been interesting to me as of late is number one, we've passed $14 trillion worth of USD value transferred on the Bitcoin network. As of now, we still have 2 months to go. Last year it was 13.1 trillion. So we've already surpassed that. We're already growing in that regard. The institutional, or I should say, the legacy sort of system adoption markers are pretty strong for 2022. You've got KPMG Canada in Bitcoin, Bank of New York Mellon in Bitcoin, Forbes saying that the use case strengthens for Bitcoin, Bloomberg referring to Bitcoin as a safe haven, Bill Gross in Bitcoin, Ken Griffin in Bitcoin, State Street in Bitcoin, Morgan Stanley Asset Management in Bitcoin, Credit Suisse saying that Bitcoin is going to benefit from all this crazy monetary stuff that's going on in the world. Gundlach in Bitcoin, and Russia announced it's going to take payment for energy in rubles or gold or Bitcoin. Bridgewater backs a crypto fund. BlackRock starting to respond to client demand in Bitcoin. On and on and on. There's a ton of these. I'm not going to read them all. There's a ton of these. And then finally, we just hit an all-time record for the number of addresses that have held Bitcoin for longer than 3 months.
Yeah, that's huge.
That is, to me, is mind-blowing, because like what it really means is the people that are holding for more than 3 months, they're not short-term in and out sellers, which is most of the people that came in. And over the last 6 months, a lot of that selling pressure was coming from people who are newer. So everybody who's holding right now have figured out they're not selling. That to me is incredibly freaking bullish. I don't know if that's a bottom marker, but damn, let's go. Send it.
It's great because you realize how much of the price is effectively calculated at the fringe, right? There's X amount of liquid Bitcoin, but there's so much of it that is basically just sitting held away. And that the conviction of those people is continuously growing. And to see that much being held on chain and a singular address for, an individual for longer and longer, it denotes that, it's there's a small liquid market, and during the bear market, there happens to be more sellers in that small liquid market, but it takes very little movement to change that trajectory, and it can really rip. So, I think that we've got an interesting decade ahead of us that a lot of people are underestimating what can happen. So it's going to be a good time. John or Kristin, do either of you want to jump in, comment on Alex's topic before we rotate to Brady's?
I mean, I think one of the things that I learned really early on from Bitcoiners is watch what they do, not what they say. And so when we hear headlines like that, and, here at Swan, when we're watching the market and I'm clipping little headlines, we see people changing their tune, whether it's JP Morgan or, it's just the list is really long of people who have tried to vilify Bitcoin while secretly stacking, in the meantime, or putting up the channels to be doing business in Bitcoin. And so I think that's just a great lesson that I learned from Bitcoiners, which has just played true over and over again. And then the other thing that I was really cluing in on that Mark that Alex was sharing was about the number of Bitcoiners really holding. And so if we think back to, let's say, 4 years ago, or the last bottom was maybe, let's say, 3,000, right, when the last bear market. And so just imagining now that the floor has raised up to, let's just say, around the $20,000 mark in that time period. And that's really interesting. And I think it's not my reason, but it could be a reason to be bullish, is to really think about the lower end is so much higher than it was 4 years ago, and then 4 years before that, and that trend continuing is one great reason why it's such a great store of value.
Yeah, there's just a little side note here. There's a really cool graph. I had a bunch of the Unchained guys on last week, and Phil Geiger brought up this chart, the huddle waves over at Unchained, and it's really cool because you can actually see up along the top. This is like the UTXO age distribution, meaning like how long has a particular coin been sitting in an address and not moved. And so like the scale goes anywhere from 24 hours to 10 plus years. And you can see some of the widening on some of these longer time frames, right? Like some of the 10-year stuff, obviously that's just like there's not a lot there. It's starting to get to the point where it's pretty constant, but you can see particularly like 5 to 7 years is starting to widen. 3 to 5 years is much wider than it was, back in 2018. 2 to 3 years, the 1 to 2 year is getting really wide, like quite a bit. You saw it start to move quite a bit and tighten, meaning lots of people were moving their coins around as we had a bull market. But now there's a lot of coins that have been sitting in a singular address. 23% of all coins have been sitting in a singular address for between 1 and 2 years. So those people are just sitting on it. And that's on top of the, all of the other, like 15%, 3 to 5 years, 7.5%, 2 to 3 years, even, another 13, 14%, 6 months to 12 months sitting in a singular address, right? You're not getting a lot of movement out of like half to 60% of the Bitcoin stack. And that's pretty impressive. I like that. But nonetheless, I'll get John's thought on this and then we'll do a rotation. So John, any thoughts on Alex's topics on some of the metrics that he's been measuring and excited about how bullish he is?
No, just really just, affirming that thesis of people as people value this thing, the more they want to hold on to it and the more they want to acquire. So, it's that natural progression as a Bitcoiner, like you want to understand it. So it just shows the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more you want to acquire, the more you want to hold on to, and really why we're all here. And that's why number go up is such a powerful thing. And I'm excited. It's great.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I love it. All right. Well, let's round up this topic. There's so many interesting metrics that you can track. And again, those HODL waves are really cool, but a lot of the stuff Alex mentioned, it's so unique to a money to be able to even be aware of those things. And this is part of, again, fix the money, fix the world. If you know how it functions, you can better calculate and decide on your economic action. So with that, we're gonna give it a rotation, and we'll give it back to Brady here.
All right, let's go. We figured this out.
I believe I've got something here. Do you want me to pull it up now so that I can give it a share?
Well, okay. We've been working on this really hard. This is not yet published on the web, but will be very, 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 very soon. It is the full schedule for the hard money stage and the Swan Dome at Pacific Bitcoin. And I thought it would be amazing to debut it on Ben's show, as Ben is such a big part of the Swan Dome.
Yeah.
So I'd love to take a look at it and maybe talk about it for a little bit, and then hear one session that stood out to each of you and why.
All right.
Pop
like
quiz. Okay.
All right. So I'll pull it up here, and maybe you can walk us through. Tell me if I need to scroll, what you want to focus on.
Yeah. Scroll down to where it says, maybe we can get it all in. Yeah, right there. That's good. And we can't get it all in anyway. Okay, so let's just have the header on there.
Here, I can. Here's what I'll do. I'll just. How's that?
Yeah, I think I can still read that with my increasingly ancient eyes. Yeah, there we go. Full screened it now. Okay, so here we go. Day one. This is the hard money stage, and we will be kicking off with Corey Klippsten, of course, who's got something he's been writing lately to talk about the race versus the war, and I think it's going to be a really nice little talk to kick things off. We're doing these 4 panels called the Bitcoin Time Machine, and this one here, the first one is 1982, and you'll see down below at the bottom here we're doing 1992, and over on the other side on the second day, 2002 and 2012. So the broader, this is like a long time preference project that we're working on here. So every Pacific Bitcoin for 10 years, we're going to do 4 of these panels. We're going to go back 10 years. So by the end of this decade, I guess into the 2030s a little bit, by then we'll have 40 years worth of historical context around Bitcoin. From 1982, when like David Chaum was doing his thing, and the cypherpunks in the 90s, all the way up to the 2030s. So up through the 2020s. Cool project. I'm excited about it. Tomer Strolight is hosting every panel. He's working to put together all the questions and stuff. It's going to be really cool, I think. Something a little different. And then if you just go through, we've got, just kind of the biggest names in the space. We're doing a fireside chat with Alex Epstein. Bitcoin is freedom. We've got all your models are destroyed for the macro types. You like to watch the charts a little closer than others. We got some mining stuff for you. We have a presentation from John Glover, who's at LEDN actually, and he's really excited about this. I've seen the deck; it looks really good. I think it's going to be a really fun talk about the services that that LEDN provides. It's going to be broader than that, but I think it's going to be really good. And then, of course, we finished the day with Michelle Phan, who is a YouTube star, incredibly successful businesswoman, super sharp. She loves Bitcoin. That's going to be cool. And then Bitcoin Not Shitcoin with Alan Farrington, Jan Pritzker, and Lynn Alden. That's going to be fire. So second day on the main stage, we're going to come in. We're going to play Bitcoin is Generational Wealth, which needs to be added to this PDF. But after Bitcoin is Generational Wealth, I'm going to do just a 5-minute dawn of the Bitcoin Renaissance hype. And then we're going to get into it. We've got Breedlove on a fireside that day. We've got some lightning stuff, as you can see there, some more mining stuff. Thriving during the Great Monetary Reset should be pretty great with Mark Moss, Dr. Jeff, and Louis Liu. And then this might be the most fun Bitcoin Time Machine at 2012 with Dustin Trammell, who may have what was probably the 3rd node on the Bitcoin network after Hal, Alan Farrington and Pete Rizzo. And then we close out with a bang on the main stage, a fireside chat with Lynn Alden, hosted by Preston Pish, and a fireside chat with Michael Saylor, hosted by Corey Klippsten. And then the DJ lets loose, and you grab yourself a drink, and we close the day. So if you go down to the next, this is the Swan Dome. Swan Dome is a focused on the Bitcoin community. It's for Bitcoiners, so it's going to have we have some really fun stuff. Some deeper dives, some things that these longer time Bitcoiners might want to spend some time over here. because they've heard everything that all of those guys on the main stage have to say.
They've
For
had
thousands-
Michael
for
Saylor in their ear
thousands of
for
hours.
17,000 hours. Yeah.
Exactly. So we've got a PlebNet panel, open source panel with our own Pablo Fernandez and Moritz, who just joined us from the Spectre team, and Keith is a genius. Meme Work Makes the Dream Work with American Huddle, Lynn Alden, and Neil Jacobs. A home mining focused panel, kind of a do-it-yourself mining focused panel called Back to Basics. Thank God for Bitcoin will be there. And then we'll have the Pacific Bitcoin pitch competition. 6 seed or pre-seed stage companies will be pitching to some VCs, and the winner gets to present on the main stage the following day. And then Tip. Everybody knows Tip, right? At least everybody here knows Tip.
Yeah.
On Bitcoin Twitter with their awesome like music videos and stuff.
Tip is incredible. I've got to say, like, one of the most unique Bitcoin content creators out there.
Absolutely, 1,000%. She's going to come and debut something for us in the Swan Dome. Then we have Toxic Happy Hour live. We have Simply Bitcoin live, and then we will be regaling the entire outside portion of the conference with sea shanties, Bitcoin sea shanties, to end the day and just like carry that energy into the happy hours and beers and dinners that will be following shortly after that. And then I've got to mention, I haven't mentioned this yet, both of these mornings, Cafe Bitcoin will be live from 9 to 10 before the stage activity starts. So Cafe Bitcoin will be there. If you want to show up early, grab a coffee, sit down, hang out with Alex and his crew, they're going to be doing Cafe Bitcoin from the venue both mornings. Then we do a lightning security, Bitcoin and privacy, zero to multi-sig. So we're getting into those topics that are near and dear to the longtime Bitcoiners. We have a Bitcoiner speed dating. Okay, this was fun. This one was my idea, and I'm glad that we kept this in here. But this is going to be Camilla Campton hosting this panel, and she's going to do 10 minutes with each of these Bitcoiners and ask them no Bitcoin related questions, or at least no Bitcoin questions. I'm sure we'll relate probably every question back to Bitcoin. So that's what we do. But we're trying to avoid that and try to learn some fun things about these people. So it's like first date type questions. Then we have Pacific Bitcoin Trivia with the crypto couple, Carla and Walker. They're hosting that, putting it together, and it's going to be a hilarious and fun time. There are prizes for 2023 Pacific Bitcoin tickets for the winners of that. Then we have a hackathon happening the day before on Wednesday. So we'll be announcing the winner in the Swan Dome. We have a stack chain panel, and then we have a live Why Are We Bullish at 4:20.
Very excellent choice of time. Thank you. This is going to be, I'm very excited for a lot of this stuff. And a lot of it, I'm just, I've seen a good chunk of it, but a few of these things are new to my eyes. So I'm very happy to see it. Now, there was a comment here from Fudlord. He said, I didn't see somebody.
We made a huge mistake.
I didn't see Bitboy on the schedule. I think that was an error in scheduling. I'm sure he's closing out the conference.
Big mistake.
He didn't quite make it through our process, but he got close. Maybe next year. Next year, Bitboy.
We'll see.
The vetting was really, really tough. It was really hard.
It was really tough.
Yeah,
it came down to it. I mean, I just, I had to take Alex Gladstein over Bitboy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's tough decisions, man. You gotta really trim it down. So only a couple days.
Do what's best for Bitcoin and Bitcoiners.
Yeah. Can I? Okay. So I'll. Some of the stuff that caught my eye, I'll have to pick one. I know there's so many, but I love. I'm kind of intrigued by the Bitcoiner speed dating. I think that'll be hilarious, especially when you get Carla and Walker up there. I think that's going to be a pretty unique thing to be a part of. So
I agree.
Yeah. So that's catching my eye. I think and the other one that really caught my eye, because I miss him dearly on Twitter, is American Huddle with his meme work makes dream work.
Yeah.
With American Huddle alongside, yes, Neil Jacobs, but like Lynn has been fucking savage on Twitter here and there. So like
she doesn't really make them, but she is an just artiste at applying them. And
Oh
using
yeah,
just
yeah.
like
So
just
Lynn flanking Huddle, I think that's going to be like a crazy. Yeah, that's going to be a good time. So, anyways, that's what stood out to me. I don't know about you guys. What what was kind of on your radar? I'll zoom in a little bit here, but there's a lot. I don't know. Like, Alex, what are you excited about?
All right, so not gonna lie, I'm a little partial to those Cafe Bitcoin crew guys. I think they're fucking awesome. But aside from that, I'm looking forward to Sailor. I mean, there's so many. How do you pick? I do also agree that Bitcoiner speed dating thing is gonna be awesome. Super looking forward to that. Great idea, Brady. Like, I'm laughing already. I can't even imagine how off the hook that session is going to be. So, and then just everything, you know, I like how we've got it separated into Swan Dome and main stage, where Swan Dome is more focused, like deep dive. Let's drill down on some stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's great because you have two different kind of Bitcoiners. You got the Bitcoiners who've been around for a while and they're like, take me deeper, show me something I don't know, help me learn. And then you've got the others who are new. And those guys are going to be like, okay, what is this all about? So it all looks fantastic. I'm super stoked.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very unique to where you're at in your journey. Like the main stage is like the big speakers and tell me kind of why, why Bitcoin. Whereas the Swan Dome is, why. It's more how Bitcoin and like Bitcoin culture, I'd say, is kind of the feel.
1000%, man.
I was going to say, Brady keeps calling the Swan Dome like the Bitcoin Twitter equivalent at the event. And I think that's a really good analogy.
That's what it was. Its original form at Bitcoin 2021. That's what it was. It was the gathering place for the Bitcoiners. It was, the kind of really pure Bitcoin culture and signal there.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to recreate. So
I'm sorry to interject.
Yeah, it's all good.
These comments are too good.
I was just reading the comments. I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Bitcoin speed dating. How you expect people with the lowest time preference on the planet and and expect great results.
That's why it's going to be funny.
Want to bump nodes.
And then yeah, Robert, want to bump nodes.
Oh man.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah, this is what I was hoping for.
Yeah, it's fantastic. What about, I don't know, like Kristin, what stands out to you? What are you excited for? What are you looking for?
Oh my gosh, I'm excited for all of it. And we all know I'm not the most technically savvy gal, but I will say I'm excited about the PlebNet talk. I'm friends with Ellen and Justifer. I'm still trying to learn about Lightning. My husband and I have a couple of channels that we can't seem to get anything to flow through. So I'm hoping we can sort that out and learn while we're in town, and just happy to see them on stage sharing. They're both, that whole panel is just amazing. Brecky's on there as well, of course. And so I think that's just going to be amazing and lots of learning. And then the meme one, I'm with you, like American Huddle. He got me through the last bear market on Twitter, really just yelling at all of us to suck it up and stack harder. And, I owe, having, not that I have the most Bitcoin in the world for sure, but I have more than I would have had he not been on Twitter, just harassing us all. So I have a real sweet spot in my heart. And Neil and Lynn, of course, just always slaying it, and just knowing the power that humor and sharp words can really have to motivate us as Bitcoiners and to grow the community. I'm definitely down for that. And then, I know Sailor talks a lot in a lot of places, but man, I think there's just almost nobody better. So I will be in the room for sure to see him close the show out for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll toss it to John here. Anything standing out to you that you're particularly looking forward to?
I mean, absolutely. This is going to be it's going to be historic, a truly historic week. But for me, I really do kind of gravitate towards, I've always been kind of a deep thinker. I've always been sort of questioning existence, what the fuck we're doing here. Oh, sorry. Can I cuss?
You can say whatever the fuck you want, man.
All right, cool.
It's live, John. It's live. It already happened.
Live is too late.
Hey, all right. What about shit, piss? No, sorry.
Ain't no censorship here, bitch.
George Carlin coming out. So I, especially when it comes to the panel of the answer to life, the universe, and everything, it really warms the title, and especially Eric Kaysen, Tomer, Brandon, Brady, you guys, all four of you guys of those names were very formative in my initial kind of conceptualization of Bitcoin and fitting it into the story of reality and our current existential crisis that we're having in Western civilization. And so I see that as a very something I'm definitely going to mark on the calendar. I want to be there and hear what these guys have to say, because Bitcoin is this crazy internet money and a digital protocol, and it has all these very technical aspects to it that are an integral part of what it is, but it does have tremendous spiritual implications, and those are the kinds of questions that I'm personally kind of interested in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's you've swayed me on that one too. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty solid group there. Yeah. Tomer in particular, I love seeing anything and listening to anything that he's really put his mind to, and he's such a unique voice in the space. So I love hearing from him. I mean,
I have to say, since I was kind of heading up putting the schedule together, I got to pick one. This is the one I picked to moderate. So,
nice. Yeah. Good choice. It's fantastic. Like the shamans. They're the shamans of the Bitcoin community. Yeah.
I love the cosmic Bitcoin talks, because it's like it gets to a place where you kind of, all of the kind of barriers that you usually put up around the way you typically talk about things, they just kind of get thrown out the window, and you get down to more of a broader, again, no better word for it than cosmic mindset for those types of conversations. And I love those because they're fun and experimental, and it's okay to say something that's maybe kind of out there. That's fine, because it's thought experiments in why are we here and what are we doing.
And why are we bullish?
Yes, and why are we bullish? That's it. I don't know if my panel will be as deep as this one. Maybe not. It might be a little bit more surface level.
I mean, this is one of, if not the best named Bitcoin podcast, or at least Bitcoin show. Out there. Wow, we're bullish. It's too good.
Cannot beat it.
Too good.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked when I was like, yeah, I should just ask that question every time, and then it went well.
Great format. Great idea.
So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah. All right. So Brady, I'm super glad that we got to debut that walkthrough of what's going on in LA. I'm now even more excited for it. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks for bringing that here.
Hey, look, I came here without a reason that I was bullish, because I just 5 o'clock came around. I was like, I got to come with the reason I'm bullish. And I was like, oh, well, Jasmine just made this awesome PDF of the schedule, so let's go.
And no one has seen it. That was the first sneak peek.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, that's amazing, man. I'm stoked about it. I know that Brady, I think you might be tight on time because you have other. Are you?
I've got some more time. Actually.
All right.
I got to leave when my wife gets home because we're heading out the door, but she's not here yet. So
all right,
I'll stay until she is. I'll close the laptop.
So we can keep it rolling. We've got 2 more reasons to go. If something comes out, then if she gets home, then just let us know. But we'll just keep it rolling, man. Yeah, let's rotate. I'm gonna toss it to. I'm gonna go John first, and then we'll wrap it with Kristin. if that's okay by you guys. So John, I'm going to toss it to you, and just simple question: why are you bullish, man?
Absolutely. I have a crow friend behind me.
It's
chiming
either
in.
crickets or crows. It's one of the
appropriate.
two.
All the
It's
wildlife.
appropriate. It goes with the
Yeah.
pirate. It goes with the pirate.
Very
Alex, we
outdoor
need to get
version.
some sound effects going here.
Yeah. So as I think about it, to me, it really comes down to what has been spoken of is like the Bitcoin social layer, and I alluded to it earlier. But to me, I see it as this concept of like, yeah, Bitcoin, it exists in the digital realm. It's a computer software, and it's there, it's working, it's connected to reality. But in order for Bitcoin to have value, humans need to interact with it, right? So we are in a very real sense a part of the Bitcoin network, just by the very fact that we use it. We brought it to existence as humans, and the reason why it's perpetuating, the reason why the network is growing and existing, and the reason why it can have confidence in its growth in the future is because people are using it, and people are using it to connect to each other on a value basis, using it to store their value, using it to move value across time, move value to other people. And so, and it's for us, as we're trying to grapple with what exactly that is. Obviously it's money. It's replacing the things. It's becoming the better money that we're able to use for all those things. So that makes me think about how, like, in any civilization, I really think that money is the most spiritual part of that civilization, because it's the thing that connects everyone together on a value level. And values are truly expressed from our soul. It's like our will being expressed into the world because we're choosing one thing over another. We're making that value judgment. So it's the integral part of our society. And the fact that the thing that we're using as money right now is so corrupt and able to be manipulated and able to be used to oppress individuals, and also isolate and cancel individuals and entities that are not serving the agenda of whatever powers that be. And even our Swan just got canceled off of Citibank one day ago. So this stuff is really real. It has very strong implications on the way that we operate in society, and the fact that we have Bitcoin as a refuge, as something that exists outside of anyone's control, that thousands of people are working on every day to improve, and they're incentivized to do it for their own personal betterment, their own financial improvement. And it's just an absolutely beautiful thing. So that is why I'm bullish. And especially just to bring up Pacific Bitcoin as an example of how that social network is able to advance. It's a way that we're able to come together and build relationships with each other that go deeper, that go beyond like that two-dimensional digital interaction, where we can sit across from each other, look in each other's eyes, and have a real conversation. And that, to me, that's the best way to build any kind of friendship and trust. Like the amount of the amount that you're able to accomplish through that process is especially increased, as I'm sure Brady and Jan and Corey experienced just coming together in person for the first time weeks ago. Like, you know, the ideation and everything we're going to experience at Swan is going to benefit greatly as a result of that. So
I love that, man. I think it's there's a few points that you touched on that I was jotting notes because there's a lot there that I wanted to kind of like hone in on. But so you were talking about how money is basically a conduit that reflects our values, or you know, another way of putting it, a way in which we choose to allocate the fruits of our labor. So like where do we, like all of the hard work that we do every day, where do we then allocate that? Like the fruits of our labor, where does that flow to? And a functioning money will accurately represent that. A broken money, like fiat, is a perversion of the values of the group, and it changes into the values of the few. And this is where you see this division of society, right? You see this fracturing of society because people's values aren't being accurately represented. They're being interpreted by those that are at the money spigot, and then further interpreted by those closest to the money spigot. So it's instead of trickle down economics, it's trickle down values. It's crazy watching the division. And it's never been more divisive because we've never seen a perversion of our money, a reflection of our values, more extreme than we have now. Especially, well, I mean, in particular in Western cultures, it hasn't happened. And you're talking about our connection with each other is represented through this. Well, a perversion of that results in a disconnection. And so with that, our will for what we wish to, where we wish to channel the fruits of our labor becomes their will, the few that get to choose what happens with our money. So I think it was very apt. It was very on point. It encapsulates everything that's wrong with the world, and fix the money, fix the world, my friend.
Absolutely. Like, especially when you think about the price signal component of it, where you have people are making those value judgments based on the pricing that they see in the world. And that pricing is directly related to the monetary supply. It's directly related to who's getting what money at what time. It's truly like corrosive. And I see it's demonic, honestly. It's that evil force. If you're going to define evil as the force that believes its knowledge to be complete, then that is that's pretty much that's the example of it. It's pervading every aspect of our lives. Like, what aspect of our lives is not affected by money?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll open it up, whether it be Alex, Kristin, or Brady. Maybe Brady, just because we don't know how long we have you for, but I might toss it to you. Like, do you have any initial thoughts as to the topic at hand, what Jon was talking about, our money, our connection to it?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there. This is one of those conversation kickoffs that, you know, you start at 10 o'clock at the bar and then it's all of a sudden 2 a.m. I have a lot of thoughts. First of all, I love to see Jon. You're just growing, in my opinion. I mean, maybe it's just because I didn't know you well enough, and I've gotten to know you better. But this sort of vision that you have of like bringing Bitcoiners together in real life and how important that is, and you're really pushing that, and you're developing really good like arguments and reasons for it, and it's just cool to watch. That's all. That's all I wanted to say there. But money is a foundation of civilization. It's like right up there with like, the most important human emotions, like love and hate and greed and all of that stuff. So it's almost, it's that powerful because it plays on all of those emotions. And this is why we say fix the money, fix the world, which, Ben brought up earlier, and it sounds absolutely utopian and massive exaggeration, which it is a little bit, but all slogans are. But this is like, it's fundamentally accurate and true, I think. because it is such a fundamental layer of civilization. So if you have a corrupt money, and if you have a money with incentives that include profligate spending and just kind of, this rich get richer. I mean, this is one I've been thinking about this for a long time too. Is the progressive Bitcoiner, and Peter McCormick's getting a bunch of shit about having progressive Bitcoiners on his podcast and that he's a status cuck and all of that, which whatever, like, angers me. We need to talk to everybody. Okay, we need to talk to everybody, especially progressives, political progressives who are down with Bitcoin, and shaming them because you don't agree with the way that the government should be run, or if it should even exist, is not the way to go. The way that we can, or one way that we can progress Bitcoin faster, is to embrace everybody who has taken the time to learn and understand it and believes that is an important force for.
Oops,
You got muted. Brady got so fucking bullish that he
smashed his mute button.
Yeah, I know. Just like smash. If we shun those people, because of our legacy political beliefs, we will not, or we will grow this thing less fast. And even more risky, we will create a red versus blue political divide. And that will slow things down like crazy. Okay? We absolutely desperately need advocates for Bitcoin on the blue side of the aisle in this country. And in every country, but especially the United States. And if we continue to push them away and call them status cucks, and we don't need you, we're building a new world without you. We have our own money, and we're gonna rebuild everything from the ground up. Fine, that's great. Like, more power to you. But in the meantime, you're causing a lot of problems. Like potentially for this world-changing technology. We need to embrace everyone. We need to talk to everyone. We need to be patient with people. This thing is unintuitive, and it goes against the idea that I live in a country where I have a say. I have my vote matters. I can help kind of control the moral direction of this country, and that can be the case, or it could not be the case. But it doesn't matter, because it's the reality. So we live in a country with a big government, and we need to figure out a way, which is what Bitcoin Policy Institute is doing, and others are doing, to educate the people who are making the decisions about the laws in this country. And if we get into an entrenched battle and this thing becomes just completely politicized, we're going to delay things. We are. So we do need to support progressive Bitcoiners, and we need to support the Bitcoin Policy Institute and other efforts like that, because they know what they're doing. Those guys have been around Washington for a long time, and they know how to talk to legislators, and they're doing good work. They're doing the work to educate them. So we should fund them, and we should celebrate them, and we should also celebrate progressive Bitcoiners on podcasts. I don't know where I started, but that's where I ended, and there we go.
I like the sentiment. I think it's interesting because I think, I mean, regardless of where you sit on Bitcoin, you have an ideal of like an outcome you would like to see, right? You say, okay, well, I would like to see, this is kind of my vision for the world. This is what I hope happens. And a lot of people on, various parts of the political spectrum, or just like off the political spectrum entirely, have zeroed in on Bitcoin as the solution to get to that final vision. If you think Bitcoin creates that final vision for you, it doesn't fucking matter if the other person thinks it creates their own vision and you think that they're going to be wrong. It doesn't matter. Sure, encourage them. Oh, you think Bitcoin will do this for you? Wonderful. I think it will do the opposite, but we both see Bitcoin as the solution to our problem. So
exactly,
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's a beautiful thing. And that's what John was talking about. Like, you can
it's like
identify with Bitcoiners, but yeah, go ahead, John. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying, like, the logo, the divine logos is like the word seeking truth. So dialogue, the kinds of things that we're doing on the podcast, the conversations that we're having on Twitter, that's to me a very holy process, because it's that truth finding mechanism that we need. We need that, like, we need to put an idea out there and have it critiqued by others, and then reconcile with that in our minds, and then have that conversation. And that's how truth is.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I want to get Kristin and Alex.
The birds are here.
Oh, sorry.
Yolo had a comment. I just had to shout out that, yeah, I know they're listening. They knew it was my turn, and you guys know that birds aren't real, right? That's
yeah. He also wanted to know if that dog barking was Labra.
Labra in the background.
Yeah. I do want to get Alex and Kristin's thoughts on the topic at hand, like kind of like the overarching money as a reflection of our values, and like, again, tying into what Brady kind of led us down from that line of thought of Bitcoiners having different ideas of how the world functions and how they'd like to see the world come to pass over time. What's your take on that? Like, what is your take on the different viewpoints of Bitcoiners? Obviously, there's lots of them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, the one thing, I don't know if this is exactly on point, but what was coming to mind when Jon was talking, and again, when Brady was this idea that I'm always fascinated by about Bitcoiners, is how we have certain values that are shared, and then that stops. And then we get all different values beyond that. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin. And I have personally expanded the diversity of my friendships because of Bitcoin. And I don't mean in race or gender, but I mean in especially political beliefs and things like that. And so it's to me, one of the most interesting things about the Bitcoin community right now. And I'm sure at a certain point, it won't matter if we succeed, right? It'll, like Brady said, it'll just be everyone. But right now, you can still really palpably feel those differences. What I really have enjoyed about true blue Bitcoiners is their ability to argue and hash things out on Twitter, in person, whatever it is, on their differing opinions, but kind of leave it at that. Some of you, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably don't, because I don't have that many followers.
You should follow her. By the way, all of their Twitter handles are down below, and you should follow every single person here.
But you may or may not know that last year I went through a cancer experience and went through chemotherapy and surgery and radiation. And there were Bitcoiners who I argued with tooth and nail about things previously, about usually something to do with politics or COVID or whatever the thing was, who were then DMing me, I'm praying for you. My family's praying for you. What do you need? Can I share some resources with you? And this isn't one person. Like, I'm literally going to try to not cry right now, but just so many people that I knew who were Bitcoin Twitter friends, people I didn't know. And I've seen that time and time again, not just for me, but for, anybody in the community. And so, when Jon was talking about that social connection that we have, and when Brady was talking about the importance of, making room for everyone, my thoughts were going to that we don't always, do that well as a community, but I feel like actually better than most, we are willing to really argue tooth and nail for the things we believe in, and then just let that argument be what it is, and not carry it over into absurdity, and really be there for the bigger things together, and to support each other beyond our differences. And I actually think it's one of the most beautiful parts of the community.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely echo that. I think, Bitcoiners are good at arguing. I think everybody wants to not trust but verify. Everybody sees things a certain way, and I think it's what you're seeing is not. It's interpreted as toxicity, but actually, I think it's a way of, in a new kind of like hard money standard where the base of society is actually rooted in reality. It's trying to hold everybody to that extreme standard of being truthful and trying to like actually get the truth out of every single little thing. And with that comes conflict. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when when somebody's in a hard spot, when somebody needs help, when somebody is just going through a rough time, I think Bitcoiners are pro humanity. They're pro people. They're pro community, and you see that in the end. And regardless of past disagreements, I think the good people shine through, and they come into the fray, and they're willing to lend a helping hand. So yeah, I love to see it. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear, Kristin, that and how are you, by the way? Are you?
I am healthy. Look, I'm getting my hair back. It's all coming together.
I love to hear
Thank
it.
you.
Well, yeah.
By the way, I didn't tell you earlier today on our like 2 meetings that we were on or whatever.
Yeah.
That was Thursday. But your hair looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I love it.
It's getting it snazzy, in time for the conference.
And speaking of hair that looks amazing, let's jump
the
to
best
Alex
hair in the biz.
and ask
His
his thoughts
goatee
on
is
the
legit.
topic at hand.
This is what we call high speed, low drag. There's so much to unpack here, guys. To what Brady was saying earlier, that thing about be nicer to progressives. I hear you, brother. I'm taking it to heart. I'll do my best. To what
We'll try.
Ben was, I've grown a lot over the last year or two. With Ben, he said trickle down is a form of that whole thing. It occurred to me that that's actually a little bit of a form of gaslighting, because it's the opposite of that. It's not trickle down, it's triple up. With fiat, that's vacuuming up all the time and the energy and the value and the wealth of the masses, and it's funneling it up to a very small group of people. I'm not going to get any deeper than that, but that's why we Bitcoin. The next thing is something that Jon said about City debanked Swan. I want all of you to know who are Swan customers or thinking about becoming Swan customers. Don't sweat that. That has nothing to do with our ability to help you and you transact and all that other kind of stuff. And Corey Clipson is the CEO of Swan. He's already on the warpath. He's already got 3 interviews lined up with Main Street Media. This is not going to go down as simply and as well as they think that's going to go. Finally,
you don't debank Swan.
You don't debank Swan
without a little bit of PR trouble.
No. We have an amazing PR firm. I think it's called Melrose. They're fantastic. Look out, because when Corey gets on something, it's gonna be good.
Perhaps I should have chosen a different example.
Well, Jon was saying that
Forgot that wasn't public knowledge.
We're all connected by the money. I agree. So I feel like Bitcoin is kind of like a central nervous system. We're all like little nodes on that, and it's forming sort of one consciousness. And then finally, to what Kristin was saying, Swan is a great example, microcosm of what Bitcoin is, because we have the full spectrum of political leanings at Swan. We have people who are very on one side and people who are very on the other. But the amazing thing is at the end of the day, the mission is far more important than any of that nonsense. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Let's go.
LFG.
I mean, exactly. Bitcoin can be a unifying force, politically speaking. Like, this could be a purple issue, and it should be, and it will be, by just like the natural course of Bitcoin's evolution over time. But we can make it happen quicker. That's all I'm saying, everyone. We can come together as Bitcoiners, no matter your political past or whatever, and say this is a single issue vote, because I think this is what will make the most impact for the positive on this country and the world, and just come together and vote for Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's not a yellow issue.
Don't get in
Shout out to yellow.
Don't get in front of an unstoppable freight train. Even the freight trains are on board.
It's coming. I got to give a shout out to Yellow, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he's been doing Don't Stop Believing on Twitter Spaces every day for like a year.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is the greatest. I can't always join, but it always warms my heart to see it on Twitter.
It has changed the song for me. I already liked it. Glee ruined it a little, but Yellow brought it back. Yellow brought it back. So
I love
thank you,
Yellow.
Yellow, for fixing the song for me. I appreciate you. And again, and he's always in the chat, but I got to give another tip of my hat. He was awesome. I went to Athens and I actually met him in person. He was very cute. He was very fuzzy.
So jealous.
He was very yellow, and and he gave me a ride on his motorcycle. So you can make a mental picture of that.
And you held on to his little furry waist.
Yeah. I grabbed onto a little bit of the fur on his back and just, and it was like a little toy motorcycle. I barely fit on, but it was amazing. So I got to give him a shout out. It was fantastic. I made a mock-up of it on Twitter. I think I edited together a picture of it. So anyways, I'll try and retweet that after the show, but nonetheless,
I want to see that.
Yeah, it was a good one. Anyways, so we'll wrap that topic, John. That was a fantastic topic. Thank you for bringing that. Again, Bitcoin, I mean, our money is just a representation of our values, and it's deeply connected with us. And when you break that connection, you break us, and that's what we're seeing. So with that, we're going to do our final rotation, and we're going to jump to Kristin, and I would just have your simple question of the day. Kristin, why are you bullish?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet and focused. I am bullish on Bitcoiners, but specifically being Bitcoin only. I think if there was ever a year to spotlight the importance of Bitcoin only, this is it. Corey Clipston on Twitter has been savage this year, saving life savings for people from the Luna, from Celsius. He's got stacks of letters of people just saying, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And now we're taking down Citibank.
Now we're just going to take down the banksters. Don't worry
You really
about
don't have that account back, do you?
we just point Corey at the things we want to destroy and watch him go. But it's just, it really, yes, like I was already Bitcoin only, great. But there was just, this was the year where it all sunk in so much deeper for me. It's why we, as a company, launched Pacific Bitcoin, was to really create an environment where Bitcoiners could come together without the distractions, and new people could come into the fold in a safe environment where they're not going to be misled, where they're not going to be, have their money get stolen or Ponzi'd from them. And I'm just so excited, that, Swan was created as a refuge really for Bitcoiners. I know when I came over to Swan as a customer before I conned them into hiring me. And the reason why was I wanted to get off Coinbase, right? Of all of us were looking for we don't even want to be on Coinbase, but where else could we go? And the minute that Swan opened its doors, I went running in. I, of course, had already read Jan Pritzker's book, Inventing Bitcoin, which is one of my favorite Bitcoin books. And so I came running over to Swan. And so, the whole ethos behind the company is being Bitcoin only. The whole ethos behind the event is Bitcoin only. And what I hope is that this is the year that more and more people really came to that realization for themselves, and that we all really stay committed to sharing that message with more people and protecting more people by creating a Bitcoin only world. Ideally, is that possible? Is that day coming? Yes. And so, for me, the first Bitcoin conference that I went to was in San Francisco in 2019. And I wandered around. I decided to go the night before. I told my husband, watch our kiddo, grabbed a backpack, hopped on a flight, and was really nervous. If you don't know, I'm pretty actually socially awkward and introverted. And so I was wandering around like old lady by herself at a Bitcoin conference, sat down and just chatted with as many people as I could, and absolutely could not believe how smart everybody was. I know we all say that, but it's like you just can't overestimate how fucking smart Bitcoiners are. And it just didn't matter who I tapped and who I sat down with. And there were some young, 20 somethings that I was sitting at a picnic table with, and they were like, "When did you get in?" And well, Bitcoin went all the way down to 3,000. How did you not sell? And I was like, have you met anybody at this conference, bro? Like, I don't know who you're talking to, but like, if you want to get bullish, if you want to get convicted, come to it doesn't have to be the Pacific Bitcoin conference, but come to a live event or conference, because you're going to create those friendships. For me, that has now turned into getting to work in the community. My husband now works in the community. Like, you can become so much more deeply steeped with friendships, with support, and with jobs or investors for your business. Like, that's the magic that can happen when we come together. And I think the more of us that can do that in a Bitcoin only environment to protect the new people who are coming in, that's what I'm really bullish about. I was absolutely just so impressed by what Corey single-handedly accomplished. And I know other people joined in, but just watching how hard he went to protect people, if we can all keep doing that as a community, 10 years down the road, we will have made a really phenomenal impact, not just in our own lives, but in so many. That ripple effect is just honestly hard to calculate.
Yeah. Damn. That makes me so excited.
Right?
I love it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's my girl.
There's quality people out there. I'm gonna defer to everybody else to dive in first. Maybe again, maybe I'll jump to Brady first. Do you want to have anything to add to what Kristin was saying there?
She said it perfectly, and I just love Kristin's enthusiasm and energy. It's been a huge part of keeping me going this year, to be honest. Nice. And she has put together this entire conference, really. I mean, I did the programming, but she's led everything else, which is a lot. A lot. So just massive props to Kristin.
Thank you.
She's a total baller, total all-star. And I think you're exactly right. I will just say real quick that I was at Bitcoin 2019 as well, and we probably passed each other at some point.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was what kicked off my career. Yeah. I went to a beefsteak on the top of Christian Careless's house, CK from Bitcoin Magazine. His building had a roof on the top. We had a barbecue. It was like 40 people, so it was like a tiny little beefsteak, which was great. I met Max and Stacy there. I met Breedlove there. I met Pierre and Bitstein and Odell and Marty and so many others. And that event, that the rest of the week that I networked with all of those guys, ended up with eventually with me getting the opportunity to work on Swan from the early days, and that's huge. So if you're on the fence, like, especially if you're in the Southern California area and you don't have to get a flight and a hotel or something, like, this is a no-brainer. It's going to be the attendee list and the speaker list. I mean, it's just packed with people from the industry, and you will be able to make a career for yourself with the contacts you make at that event. And likewise with any Bitcoin event. That's what Kristin was trying to say. But the next one that's coming in 2 weeks is Pacific Bitcoin. So that's your opportunity. It's going to be a good one, and it might, just get you into the industry, change your career. I am a bajillion times % more satisfied with my job now than I was before Swan. So it's just really fulfilling to be on the mission 24/7.
Yeah,
that's right.
As Alex would say.
I gotta echo what you said there. So you guys are talking about, again, Bitcoin 2019. Again, kind of like depths of bear market, although we were getting a spike at the time, but nobody who bought tickets for that event knew there was going to be a little spike in price on that weekend.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like, the people that you met, like, I think I met you, Brady, for the first time there. You had little stickers for your Citizen Bitcoin podcast.
Citizen Bitcoin. Yep.
That's right. I met Guy Swan for the first time there at that point. It was Cryptoconomy.
Yeah, the Cryptoconomy. The last minute guy, and this is just like so him since I've gotten to know him, he like messaged me the day before the conference. He's like, I'm coming. Can I stay with you? Where are you staying? I need a place to stay. So we had this I had a friend with me to go with me, and we had this tiny little Airbnb. It was like one room and a bathroom, but it was somewhat close to the venue. And so we called this dude and got like a little cot, and it was just completely packed. That was about it. It was like a bed, a couch, and a cot. And so that was when I first hung out with Guy. It was just those 2 days, and like so great.
crazy.
What a great dude.
Yeah, it was wild because it was the first time. It was also actually the first time I met Corey, and I don't think he remembers this, but he was there and he was talking to a lot of people, and Swan was like a twinkle in his eye.
That's right.
He was doing.
It was Give Bitcoin.
It was Give Bitcoin, and so sorry, my camera's being crabby right now, but I'll keep talking anyways. So he was asking different people's opinions on like, what are you looking for? What do you need? Everything. And this was definitely the first conference where there was a prevalence of Bitcoin only sentiment there. Obviously you're gonna encounter some shitcoinery going on, but like there was a very focused, like in terms of the vast majority of people in attendance were very Bitcoin only. And the conversation that I had with him, it was him, myself, and Francis Pouliot all standing on the rooftop, and Corey was just tossing out questions about like, what are you looking for? What do you want out of Bitcoin? He was talking about Give Bitcoin, but he was just like trying to like take in as much information as possible. So it was really cool to like see that moment to like where Swan is now. And there's plenty of other, again, like crazy meetings of people that have gone on to form their entire Bitcoin careers just from interacting with people in person. And I think it can't be understated. Everybody's always like, I want to work in Bitcoin. I want to do something in Bitcoin. Get your ass out and meet other Bitcoiners.
Seriously.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was
100%.
doing that while Corey was wandering around that conference. I was wandering around doing the same thing, asking like, okay, marketing and live events. And people are like, like this is kind of it. And I just interviewed as many people as I could. And one of the people I met is Kelly Weaver, who owns Melrose PR, who does PR for Swan. Again, like that's a weird, these seeds that got planted, 3 years, however many years ago, don't ask me to do math on a live stream, come back. And so we see all the time at events, people come up to those of us who work at Swan and say like, how do I get a job at Swan? And it's like, you got to go out and build those connections and relationships, whether it's Swan or somewhere else. You just have no idea the seed that you're going to plant that's going to blossom into something huge for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to get John's thought on Kristin's topic as well before we start to kind of round out. But yeah, John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. One thing that comes to mind is how, we've been so focused on Bitcoin only being the thing, and I think a lot of times we in the Bitcoin community, we get pretty much, we get a little bit ahead of ourselves because we realize Bitcoin is the thing. It is what works. It is what's best. And it is the future.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yellow said something. I had to bring it up. But anyways, continue.
I love you too, Yellow.
So in some of the conversations I've been having with Corey recently, he's kind of been talking about this idea of like, well, now that we've established that, Bitcoin only is a thing, we also want to highlight the fact that Bitcoin is fucking cool. Like it's providing, since it is that revolutionary technology that's bringing humanity to it's also going to attract the highest quality of human civilization to it. So that's something that I'm really excited about. And, especially around this conference, something that we're trying to since LA is such a prime cultural hub, like it or not, for Western civilization, like it's a very powerful opportunity that we have to bring Bitcoin into LA in a very, demonstrative way, and kind of be that city on a hill for all of Western culture to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better. The city on the hill. Yeah, it's again, I think it sets high standards for people to rise to, and it brings together kind of the best of the best, and those that are maybe a little lost can still come to Bitcoin and better themselves because of it. God knows I have, honestly, like getting into this group of people. And again, like calling back to some of the perceived toxicity. Yeah, I mean, there's people that are just assholes, but there's also people that just have a very high standard for truth and and being accurate in what you say and what you do. And I think that's a good thing. And while there's disagreements about how to get to our goals, again, all of us have honed in on the same solution. And to call back on again some of the themes of this episode, we're all in the pursuit of truth, and Bitcoin is a truth mechanism. And even if we're wrong, I think at the end of the day, we want to know if we are. Mm-hmm. And this is how we get there. So if all of us perceive Bitcoin as the solution to our perceived problems with the world, and this is the way through which we're getting there, we need to encourage people to continue to go down that path. And then at the end of the day, because Bitcoin is rooted in truth and reality and physics, it will show us the reality, and we will all be better for it.
Well said, man.
Right.
Oh, we need a group hug.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, couple weeks.
Yeah. So close. We're so close.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm gonna start rounding out here. I think that's a good way to kind of finish up. But what I like to do at the end of every episode is I like to do a quick round of any final thoughts, anything you feel like you didn't get to say, and a quick challenge. I will say, give a recommendation of something that has been helpful in your Bitcoin journey. And this can be literally anything. It could be a podcast, a book, a video, a movie, an app, a device, something, some line of thought that you think people should dive into. It can be just anything that you think is of interest that can help Bitcoiners along their Bitcoin journey. So I'm going to start off to give you guys seconds to think, because I just told you about it right now. That's okay.
I got this one.
Yeah, but I'm so final thoughts. I'm going to say, first of all, I'm very excited for LA. I'm very excited to be once again in the company of Bitcoiners. And I've been doing it so often that I can't picture not doing it anymore. You get on, again, like you get the last couple of years where maybe it's been more difficult for people to see each other. Granted, a year in, I flew to Miami and chilled with like 20,000 people, but nonetheless, you're more segregated the past couple of years than we previously have been. And now that I'm getting out to more stuff, this past year, I've gone to more events than I have in my entire life. And I wouldn't change a damn thing, because every time I'm in the room with other Bitcoiners, it's like a family reunion with people I've never met. And that's the feeling you get it walking into any Bitcoin meetup. Even if you're the stranger, you're family. And we need more of that. And if you haven't done it yet, I implore you to try, whether it be Pacific Bitcoin or whether it be your local Bitcoin meetup, or whether it be there is no local Bitcoin meetup, so you start one and it's just you and some other dude hanging out for coffee or a beer. That's how it starts, and that's how this thing builds, and that's how we convey our ideas and values and how we grow. So I would just encourage face-to-face, in-person connection. It's a beautiful thing. In terms of recommendations, today I'm going to give a little shout out to a wallet that has gotten some cool updates in the last little bit. I've been meaning to cover some of those updates recently. I haven't quite gotten to it, but I did do a video on it a while back. It's called Lily Wallet, Lily. And it's got a similar feel to something like Spectre or Sparrow in that you can have like a hot wallet on your desktop, but you can also import keys for, not keys, but import like your XPub for your Coldcard or your Trezor or your Ledger or whatever device you're dealing with. And you can also combine them into multi-sig, and they've added features for dealing with Lightning as well. So it's really this kind of crazy all-encompassing thing. There's still, there's a few things missing. There's a few bugs here and there, but I think the interface is beautiful. And as people contribute and again, submit maybe bug reports on the GitHub and everything, I think that this could be a really, really awesome contender to be up there with the likes of Sparrow Wallet and Spectre and all of that great stuff. So anyways, check out Lily Wallet, Lily. If you encounter any troubles, just drop them a line and say, hey, you found a bug, but it is a beautiful wallet, and I hope to see it grow and continue to maybe be catapulted into the forefront as potential go-to options. So yeah, that's where I'll leave it. Alex, I'll jump to you. Final thoughts, recommendations.
Okay, so best recommendation right now, I think clearly it's BTC Sessions. I mean, this guy has got a YouTube channel that he's done all of these amazing tutorials on everything. Like I send clients to their Swan clients there all the time.
Mhm.
So I would highly recommend that. Two other quick thoughts. Number one, reiterating what Brady was saying, Kristin is beautiful on the outside and the inside. She's an amazing asset to Swan. She's like an army of one. The heavy lifting she's done to make Pacific Bitcoin possible. I don't know how she's done that. Thank God I don't have that job. Fantastic.
I'm gonna come on this show like all the time. This is amazing.
The last thing I'm gonna say is that if you can get to an event like Pacific Bitcoin, it does something different. And that thing is, you can listen to podcasts, you can read articles, you can watch videos, but human beings are very sensitive to other humans' direct, immediate energy. And without getting too woo-woo on you, when you get around a bunch of Bitcoiners, you can feel it.
Yes.
You can feel it with and if you're new, like sometimes people are like, well, I don't know anybody in Bitcoin, or I'm afraid I'm going to be alone and not meet anybody. Trust me, go. You will meet some of the kindest, most welcoming people you have ever met in your life. It's awesome.
So true.
Absolutely. Love to hear it. We'll jump to Kristin. Any final thoughts, recommendations? Go ahead.
Well, I feel like I definitely want to say thank you for all of the kind words. Yeah, working with Alex, the likes of Alex and Jon and Brady at Swan, absolutely amazing. And echoing what Alex just said, if you want to come to the conference and you're alone, like I said, I grabbed a backpack and flew out to San Francisco as a complete introvert, socially awkward human, and everybody was super welcoming. So just come. We're going to treat you like family. Don't sweat it. Absolutely excited to see everybody in person and really connect on that deeper level and get recharged for the next surge forward. That's what I'm looking forward to. A couple of resources. If you are brand new to Bitcoin, definitely go to swan.com. You can get a digital free copy of Jan Pritzker's Inventing Bitcoin. It is the book that I literally recommend to everybody. I have it highlighted. I read little sections out loud to my husband to make sure I was understanding it. It is my little Bible of Bitcoin, and it's definitely the perfect place to start. And then definitely buy or actually just come to the conference and get a copy and get it signed by him. But the digital copy you can get right away for free. So I want to recommend that. And then for those of you who are a little more advanced, or you're starting to get into Lightning, I just wanted to give a shout out to Amboss. My friend Justifer has Amboss. It's a great resource for finding nodes and channels. And I think he's in the pitch competition. Am I right, Brady?
Amboss is in the competition. He's
Yeah.
also, Justifer is also on a lightning panel.
Yes. Yeah. So he's in the panel and the pitch competition, which I'm so excited about. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Amboss. Great resource for those of you looking to connect with nodes and channels and grow your lightning channel.
Awesome. I love it. I will say, I just kind of, about the book. Jan Pritzker. Honestly, it's such a nice, short, concise read. There's something like, and I read it when I felt like I knew Bitcoin pretty well, but there was one little nugget of information in there that like I step back and go, oh shit, that explained it so much better for me. I understood the difficulty adjustment and like everybody always says, oh, they're solving difficult math problems, minors. And that's definitely not the case, but his explanation of the difficulty adjustment and how it functions and how you're having to find a number under a certain value with a certain number of leading zeros, which to many listening right now will sound like Greek, but that finally cemented in like, oh, I get what's happening now. So there's honestly, whenever you pick up a new Bitcoin book, there's always some great little tidbits of new information. So highly recommend. Yeah.
Love it.
Awesome. John, I'm gonna jump to you. Yellow also said that the crows took over the backyard, and Jason said that the pirate is in trouble.
He had to retreat. He had to retreat to his quarters.
And I will say that earlier in the show,
I just had to get away from their surveillance.
Somebody's earlier in the show said, why is this dude dressed as a pirate? And I said, because he's a pirate. Be more inclusive.
He's a pirate, bro.
Yeah. I mean, we welcome pirates into the Bitcoin community. Come on.
Yeah, what do you have against pirates, man?
Seriously.
He was obviously trolling, but
I personally identify as a pirate.
Well, dude,
I assume you're dressed as a pirate because it's Halloween weekend. I think that's the obvious reason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Am I right?
Brady, you know that I dress like a pirate every Friday.
Do you have a side gig?
I've offended Yellow because I sounds like Greek and he's Greek. What the fuck, Ben?
So rude.
Oh shit. Sorry, Yellow. I apologize, but I also don't understand Greek. So anyways, I digress. John, final thoughts, recommendations, all yours.
Sure. Yeah. I guess one final thought is just like, the whole reason Bitcoin gives us something to celebrate, right? And that's what all of this is really about. That's what the conference is about. That's what getting together and meeting people is about, is actually celebrating something. And a lot of the celebration that occurs in our current day-to-day, a lot of it I find kind of meaningless, like going to the club, the bars, and whatever, the parties that people throw. A lot of times it just has this sense of like, man, we're just here and getting drunk for getting drunk's sake, trying to forget about our woes and our troubles. But what's unique about this community is we're actually participating in something that's having a positive impact on the world, and it's able to align our incentives in a way that is just absolutely insane. And then we can have a fucking blast doing it. So kind of my final thought. And for those of you who are on the fence about coming to Bitcoin, like coming to Pacific Bitcoin, I saw some in the comments. Some of you guys are looking for jobs. Some of you guys are wanting to get more connected. Like, this is your chance. This is, if you want to actually talk to, once someone was talking about upstream data, like, you got to hire me. If you want to talk to them, come to the conference and actually have a conversation with them and convince them to hire you. This is what it's about. We're trying to connect people, and this is what I see to be the new elite social network of the future. So get on board and yeah, I had to escape the crows to say that, because they're going to report everything that I say back to the
Yeah,
the
birds
feds.
aren't real, friend. They're all CIA drones.
And I'm going to a Halloween party in LA tonight. So
Yeah. Okay, there we go. I don't ruin the illusion that you're a real pirate, man. So I need it. And finally, I'll rotate last to Brady. I'm very thankful we've had you for the duration of the show, unless he's frozen. Is he frozen? No, he's there.
Is
Are
he?
you there?
I don't see him blinking.
He's very stoic. He's very unsure of what, I hear you.
Yeah, I thought
know.
it was
Oh, you do?
staring me down.
Okay, if you can hear me, that's fine. I think my computer's melting down. Two quick things. One, Swan has an app now. You can find it in the App Store. Just search Swan Bitcoin, iOS and Android. So check it out. Stack some sats. We're excited about that. It's been a long time coming. And secondly, my recommendation is the Book of Satoshi. The Book of Satoshi, way under recommended and underappreciated amongst Bitcoiners, but it is literally the Bible, if the Bible is the word of God. So the Book of Satoshi is every single word that Satoshi ever wrote and published publicly, and some privately. Actually, there's some private emails in there too that were like from Gavin Andreessen and others. So the Book of Satoshi is amazing. You can also get it on Audible. And for the first couple of years of my Bitcoin journey, I may or may have not fallen asleep listening to various parts of the Book of Satoshi every night for like 2 years. Okay, there's just so much there, and if you listen to it over and over, there's more and more insight. Anyway, very cool book, under recommended. I definitely check it out.
Very interesting. That's one I haven't heard before, and
I know, right? Even
I've
Ben
seen
hasn't
it.
heard of it. That's how under the radar it is. But it's
unbelievable.
So great.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never like really decided to dive. Like it's 395 pages. Holy crap!
Yeah, well, it's all of his forum posts. It's a bunch of emails, and it's it's just a lot. There's a lot more out there than you think, and it's cool to hear every word the dude ever published, publicly, and it's just, I think it's a must read. It opens a lot of sort of insights into the way Satoshi thought and what what he thought this thing might become.
Yeah,
it's just cool. It's just cool.
Sounds like it'd be a good read for Craig Wright.
Yeah, exactly. Just like read all of his own words.
Get his facts straight when people are trolling him on Twitter, trying to like get him gotchas with Satoshi quotes.
Did you not read my words from the Book of Satoshi from my Bible? Did you not read that? God, that guy. What a
man.
He can remember when he read it. I mean, wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, so many good trolls lately. I love it. And hats off to Hodlanot. Congratulations on your win, sir. I look forward to another in the UK. Yeah,
it's huge.
Awesome. Well, everybody, I'm gonna say Alex dropped early. I think he was having some issues with his connection or his camera or something like that, but he got in his final thoughts and everything. So I will say thank you to all of you. I really appreciate you being here. I'm very excited to see you all in LA coming up in less than 2 weeks here. It's going to be a blast. And yeah, I guess I'll leave it there. Of course, you're all welcome back anytime.
Thank you, man.
Great.
See you
Thanks
soon.
for having us. Can't wait to see you.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I hate to do this. Before everyone leaves, I just want to say I forgot to plug my recommendation, which is the Bitcoiner Old Testament, The Sovereign Individual.
Yes.
That is essentially what I call it. It's, if you want to understand sort of what's going on in the world right now and how Bitcoin fits into it, this is an extremely powerful resource that I read twice in a row. And it's really helped me out a lot. So that's all. Yeah.
It's honestly one of my favorite reads that I've done. It's pretty prescient. It was written in the 90s and like kind of what they foresaw or what they thought would come to pass largely has There goes Brady. So
We're just
they're
dropping one
like
by
flies.
one.
I think the crickets picked him off. The crows left John and
Right.
picked off Alex. It's just a matter of time. A polar bear will get me, but nonetheless, sovereign individual. Check it out. Kristin, John, I appreciate both of you, and hats off to Brady and Alex. Thank you guys so much, and I'll be seeing you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you. See you, bud.
All right, later. All right, and everybody watching, thank you so much for being here. That was an awesome rip. I had so much fun there. I love the guys at Swan, guys and gals and pirates. I should specify. Can't forget the pirates. Got to be inclusive here. So yeah, very excited for LA. I think it's going to be a blast. If you're going to be down there, shoot me a tweet. Let me know. I'm going to be down there. I'm going to be in LA for quite some time. I get down on the 9th, and then I'm in LA on my own until the 17th. My family's coming down. We're doing a family thing. I'm going to have maybe a few down days afterwards, but I'm basically in LA from November 9th to the 27th. So if you're in the LA area and you're around, particularly in that first week, the 9th to maybe the 17th, if you're around and you're just chilling, even after the conference, and you want to grab a coffee or a beer, let me know, man. I'm around, and Bitcoiners are awesome. I love hanging out. So just drop me a line, shoot me a tweet. Of course, I would be remiss again if I didn't say, like, again, come on down, Pacific Bitcoin. You can, and again, I'm so terrible at this, but if you use code SESSIONS as you check out, there will be some form of a discount on your ticket. I think it's a good one. I think you get a decent amount off your ticket. So anyways, if you were unsure and then this clinched the deal for you, type in SESSIONS as the code and you will save some amount of dollars. Also, again, I got my workshop going on the Saturday, November 12th. It goes from 1 to 5 p.m. Yes, it's a 4-hour deep dive on the Coldcard. If you want to just be an expert on your Coldcard and know the ins and outs and just feel totally secure in your setup, come to it. There are only 15 spots available. You can grab them on my website, btcsessions.ca, or there's a direct link to the BTC Pay server in the show notes right now. And I said at the beginning of the show, once again, within the 24-hour window of when I started this show, which was about, or when I set it, 6:15 p.m. Eastern time, for the next 24 hours, if I see any ticket sales come through, you get to bring a friend for free. So if you were kind of unsure prior, and maybe there's a couple of people, a couple of you that wanted to go, well, hey, 2 for 1 effectively for the next 22 hours by now. But anyways, btcsessions.ca, there's an events page. Grab them there. I'll finish up here. If you want, you can help out the show by hitting like, subscribe, share, hit up the previously mentioned sponsors, CoinKite, Shakepay, LEDN, Bitrefill, BillFodl, or you can drop me a strike tip. My strike page, a Bitcoin tip, and my strike page, strike.me/BTC Sessions. Head there. You don't need strike for it. Type in any amount you want. Hit the tip button. You'll see a regular Lightning invoice, or if you tap to the right, a Bitcoin QR code. With that, I'm out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
Huddle the Bitcoin.